It's November 24, 2014, a Monday morning in Culver City, California. Inside the Sony Pictures headquarters, employees are settling in. They're grabbing coffee, checking emails, preparing for the holiday rush. It is, by all accounts, a completely normal day in the Dream Factory. Until 10 a.m. Across the campus, screens flicker and die. Not one, not 10, thousands. At first, people laugh. IT support assumes it's a glitch, a server error, maybe a prank. But then, the printers start running. Every printer in the building wakes up at once, spitting out pages of threats. Phones go dead. Keycards stop working. The cafeteria registers freeze. In an instant, a multi-billion-dollar corporation is dragged back to the Stone Age. But the employees staring at the grinning red skull on their monitors don't know the worst part yet. The hackers didn't just lock the doors. They didn't just want money. They wanted to burn Hollywood to the ground. When a bank is hacked, the motive is simple: greed. When a government is hacked, the motive is espionage. But this felt personal. The group claiming responsibility called themselves the Guardians of Peace, or the GOP. Nobody had ever heard of them. Was it a rival studio? A disgruntled insider? Or a collective of activists? The message on the screens was broken English, threatening terror if their demands weren't met. But their demands were vague. Security experts were baffled. The sophistication of the attack suggested a nation-state. But the chaotic, loud nature of it felt like. As the FBI rolled into Culver City, the world asked one question: who hates a movie studio enough to destroy it? The answer, it turned out, was stranger than any script Sony had ever bought. To understand the destruction of 2014, we have to go back a few months earlier. Sony Pictures greenlit a comedy called The Interview. The plot was simple. Two American journalists land an interview with Kim Jong-un, the supreme leader of North Korea, and receive orders from the CIA to assassinate him. To Hollywood, it was just a stoner comedy. A joke. To Pyongyang, it was an act of war. In June 2014, the North Korean Foreign Ministry issued a statement. They called the movie an act of terrorism and promised merciless countermeasures if the film was released. Sony executives read the threats. They laughed. They consulted the State Department. They made a few edits to the death scene. They shifted the release date to Christmas. They thought they were dealing with a diplomatic complaint. They didn't realize they were being watched. While the executives were debating marketing budgets, someone was already inside their network. Watching. Waiting. They weren't just looking for the movie. They were mapping the entire digital skeleton of the company. 4 months, the hackers lived inside Sony servers. They had the passwords. They had the blueprints. They held the knife to the throat of the studio, and nobody even felt the cold steel. The attack wasn't a smash and grab. It was a slow, methodical extraction. In the weeks leading up to November, the Guardians of Peace exfiltrated terabytes of data. They didn't trip any alarms. They used Sony's own credentials against them. It was the digital equivalent of emptying a bank vault while the guards held the door open for you. They stole everything. Unreleased films like Fury and Annie. Social security numbers of 47,000 employees. Medical records. And most dangerously, the emails. Hollywood runs on two things: money and secrets. The hackers knew that destroying the servers would hurt operations. But destroying the reputation? That would be fatal. They sat on this treasure trove of humiliation, waiting for the perfect moment. They timed the detonation for maximum impact. And when they finally pressed delete, they didn't just wipe the data. They used a wiper malware designed to physically damage the hard drives. This is why the screens went black on November 24th. The red skull wasn't a ransom note. It was a tombstone. The hack was bad. The leak was catastrophic. The Guardians of Peace began dumping the data online. Suddenly, the private thoughts of Hollywood's most powerful executives were public property. Insults about Angelina Jolie. Racist jokes about President Obama. The salaries of every actor, revealing massive gender pay gaps. The media went into a frenzy. It was a gossip bonanza. But while the public laughed at the drama, the hackers escalated. On December 16th, the Guardians of Peace issued a new threat. They referenced 9/11. They warned that any theater showing the interview would face a bitter fate. The threat moved from the digital world to the physical one. This wasn't about emails anymore. It was about bombs. Theater chains panicked. One by one, they refused to screen the movie. Sony, backed into a corner, did the unthinkable. They canceled the release. A group of faceless hackers had forced a major American corporation to censor itself. A foreign regime had effectively dictated what Americans could watch in their local cinema. The victory for the hackers was total, or so they thought. President Obama stepped in. We cannot have a society in which some dictator someplace can start imposing censorship here in the United States. It was unprecedented. The President of the United States was talking about a movie release. The FBI officially pointed the finger at North Korea. They cited IP addresses, code similarities to previous North Korean attacks, and the sheer motive. It was the Lazarus Group, North Korea's elite cyber warfare unit. Sony eventually released the movie online. Amy Pascal stepped down. The studio lost over $100 million. But the story didn't end there, because in the shadows of the internet, a different theory began to grow. Some security experts looked at the evidence and paused. The hackers knew exactly where the files were. They knew the internal jargon. They knew who to target. Was it really North Korea operating from halfway across the world? Or was the Guardians of Peace a cover for something much closer to home? A disgruntled employee? An insider who knew exactly where the bodies were buried? The FBI considers the case closed. But in the world of cyber warfare, attribution is a guessing game. We know the weapon that was used. We know the damage it caused. But to this day, we can't be 100% sure whose hand was on the keyboard. Hollywood eventually went back to business. But the lesson was learned. If you have secrets, someone is always watching. And next time, they might not just leak a movie.